Hey there viewers, and welcome back to the channel. Here we have a bonus Space Quest 3 playthrough video. So in my previous videos playing through Space Quest 3, someone in the comments mentioned that it's possible to use the pole from Ortega to retrieve the belt from the Terminator. So we're going to have a little go at this and see what happens. So I'm just restoring a save game. And this is right where the Terminator is following me underneath these pod things. So let's see if we can get the Terminator to go under the pods. Sweet. Now you notice this is a bit slower than the playthrough we did before. That's because we're actually playing this on an authentic 8088 XT from 1987. So this is actually on real hardware using a real EGA card and a real sound blaster. So now we can see the Terminator is, squashed by the little pod things and the belt is still there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to save it here. And that way, just in case something goes wrong, we can get back. Notice how much slower this is than DOSBox. This is more what it was like to actually play the game back in, 1989 or 88 when this was, I guess, released. So let's call this Matthew after Terminator. And you can see the save time and the load time and that sort of thing is a lot longer than you'd experience on DOSBox. And this is kind of what it was like, in, I guess, the late 80s when this game was released. The XT was kind of on the way out, and the AT and the 386 were a bit more dominant. But still, a lot of people bought these because they were actually quite cheap in comparison. And it was a way of getting into affordable home computing. Alright, so let's get back into the Mallard. And now we're going to fly to Ortega. I do quite like playing these games on the original hardware from back in the day. The colours and the look and feel of the game are quite different in person, and hopefully that translates through on camera. And although it can be kind of annoying waiting for it to load, it's kind of, the experience that you had. And again, you can see this looks different than DOSBox. The borders are white, whereas I believe when you play this in DOSBox, those borders are actually green. So there are differences. So now we're just going to set course to Ortega and retrieve the pole. Let's go to the nav system. And it will get there. There we go. And again, you can see that cyan color now because of the EGA card rather than the VGA. We're just going to scan through. There's Ortega. We're going to set a course. You can also hear the sound is slightly different on an authentic sound blaster. This one, I don't remember the exact model number. I believe it's... Oh, actually, I'm not even going to guess. But it is actually an 8-bit sound blaster. So it's not a 16-bit card. Again, it just sounds that bit nicer than the emulation. Or a bit worse, depending on your perspective. You can also see that the, speed of light graphic with all the psychedelic colours is slowed right down when playing this on a slower machine. So hopefully when we get to Ortega, we should be able to just wear the underwear and then wander over, grab the pole, and head straight back to Fleabut. I'm going to land. Okay, so with a mighty wump, you set the aluminium mallard back down on the surface of Ortega. Get up. Now we need to wear the thermal underwear. otherwise we will cook. So basically all I've done here is, everything on Fleabut was done, so went to the World of Wonders, bought all the stuff. I just didn't actually retrieve the belt from the Terminator. My, this is one hot planet, but you don't care. You're beating the heat with the thermoweave underwear. Yeah, I think I'm sure the colours look more vivid on EGA than they do when playing this through DOSBox. The reds are a lot more red, the yellows are a lot more yellow. Again, hopefully that's coming through on camera. I haven't quite got the settings 100% optimized yet for this capture, but I am getting better at this. Okay. So the pirates still should be here because we haven't actually visited the planet yet. So yeah, there they are. Let's just hide off to the side. And hopefully they should disappear in just a minute. I'd be interested to hear from people in the comments whether you still have old PCs and play these games using the hardware that was, original to the late 80s, early 90s. Or does everyone just play this on DOSBox now? And I must admit, I can't really fault DOSBox. It's opened up these games to so many people that wouldn't otherwise be able to play them because, the hardware from the late 80s, early 90s is getting much harder to come by. Okay, so the pirates are taken off. And it does give people a way to experience these games. Even though it's not 100% the same as it was back in the day, you still get the gameplay, which is cool. Alright, so let's take the pole. One other interesting thing I could do here is take a thermal detonator with me, because technically they only go off when you leap across the chasm. And there is no chasm here yet because we haven't destroyed the generator, but I think when it wobbles like this you still might be in trouble. Maybe that's for another video. Alright, so let's head back to the ship. And up the ramp. Press the button. Sit down. And now we just make our way back to Fleabut. Give it a screen. Nav system. Zoom out scan. And set a course. Okay, so hopefully this shouldn't take too long. See, as I was saying, I'd be interested in what people think, whether they, again, have the hardware still, play this on the old hardware, or play it on DOSBox, or maybe a mixture of both. I certainly try and play it on the old hardware as much as I can. DOSBox and also ScumVM are handy at times if, you only have your modern laptop and you can't be bothered actually getting all this stuff out the cupboard. But the other tricky part is the older hardware is taking a lot of maintenance these days. So the older PCs have failures with capacitors and all sorts of things like that. So it's certainly not as easy a hobby as it used to be. Okay, we're back on Fleabot. Let's see if this works. Get up. Press button. That should let us outside. The other thing I'm interested in is if this does work, whether we get the same score as using the Orit on a stick. And we'll find that out in just a second as well. So we're back out here. There is a storm brewing. Let's wander across to the west. Okay, so the invisibility belt and the Terminator are still here, so that's good. So let's save our game again. Yeah, let's just override as that. That'll be fine. Okay, so I guess we just line ourselves up and use pole. So the score at the moment is 233. And hey, you can. Now we're at 268. Okay, so our final score using the pole is 268. And it does work, so that's pretty cool. Let's just restore it and see what it gets us with the Orit on a stick. Okay, so maneuver in again. Use Orit stick. So you get a different animation, and he gets a little grabby stick. Gets the belt, and 268. So it's the same score whether you use the Orit stick or use the pole. So that's good to know. Cool. So if you've enjoyed this, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you like this sort of format, these little follow-ups where people make suggestions or find extra little Easter eggs that I've missed and I follow them up for you, please also let me know in the comments because I am more than happy to do so. Again, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for further playthrough videos and I'll catch you on the next one.